All right, I think I'm up and running. I don't do this very often, so I got a crash course in it last year. I think I'm kind of holding my own on this one. Oh, yeah, there we go. You guys hear me okay? All right, Diana will be moderating some of the questions that we've got. Yeah, I'm up and running. Oh, yeah. All right. So in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get things rolling. First off, I want to reiterate to everyone, this is only for returning vendors. If you were not a vendor last year, this process does not apply to you in any way, shape, or form. So these are folks that were vending last year that are returning for 2025. New vendors can certainly, jump on here and listen. Got no problem with that. But your registration process is going to be different. So just keep that in mind. And I'll probably say that a few times during this. So everybody remember, like once this is done, I'm gonna work on updating the website tonight, putting this video on there. This will be pinned to the top of the main Scarefest weekend page and also the group page. So I'm going to try and put it out there as much as possible, and then there'll be, um, you know, it'll be written out, all the directions and everything like that. And I'm going to attempt some visual aids tonight and kind of walk people through a registration process and what that's going to look like. So as I kind of move around and pull up images and things, like you guys be patient with me, we'll get there together. So I appreciate it. Fine tune a couple things real quick. Let's see. That. Need that. All right. So just to kind of give you guys a rundown, we're going to talk about dates. February 1st, that's we've thrown that date out a lot. February 15th, which is going to be new vendor registration. So we're going to go through and highlight that real quick. What the process is going to look like for setting up your profiles and things online and why that's important. Kind of go through like booth pricing for this year, a rough idea of some changes that are going to be going on with the floor, which again aren't many. We're going to talk about invoicing systems, down payments, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're gonna jump straight in. So first and foremost, the most important thing as a returning vendor is if your email has changed from last year, you need to email vendors@thescarefest.com and update that. A lot of you have already done it, but just make sure that that's happening. We have to have this. This is all going to go through email. Returning vendors do not have to do the application process that we had last year. We were kind of doing a reset to make sure that we didn't have too much of one vendor, or we didn't have like 20 candle vendors and like 30 cup vendors. And so we kind of hit reset last year and had you guys fill out applications and things like that. That's not going to be the case this year. It's just going to be registration. So I'm going to update the website also, just to put in a link saying, update your address. If anyone doesn't see this or anything, the link will be on there. And so you're just going to email, update the address. So one of the big things that we've changed this year is we've updated Map Dynamics, which is the system we use for building floor plans and all that stuff. And so the way it's worked previously is that you guys have kind of given us information like videos, links, contacts, things like that. And then we've built it into the system. That's going to change this year where you guys are actually going to get a login and be able to go in and set up your own vendor profiles that will go on throughout the year. And I'll show you why that's important. Because you're going to be able to put out like products and services, what you guys are doing. It'll be directly, able to directly accessed by everyone attending the show. They'll have months to look at it. You can upload videos, photos, external links. So you guys will be able to use this system and throughout the year and access to it. And then obviously one of the big things that's going to help you guys out too is that our attendees will have access to this throughout the year. So it's a way for you guys to start generating revenue, perhaps leading into the show. And also for folks to, really kind of plan, how they're going to spend their money when they get there. So this thing it's really important, I think, that you guys really put some time into it because it's going to pay off in the end. So a couple of big things that we had talked about too was that if you guys want to retain your booth space from last year, you guys can definitely do that. I know, Jason had his spot on the wall that he really liked. A lot of the vendors had spots that they were really happy with, especially the end caps. So yeah, if you want to keep your booth, that's fine. If you want to change, and we put that out there, like if they're, when we put the map out and kind of look at some stuff, if you guys see something that you want to switch around or things that are open, then you can communicate that to Diana at Vendors, and she can help you with that. Now here, I'm going to try and do my visual aid thing and see if this works, and we'll just kind of see what happens. I think I've got this. All right, I want to kind of check the Facebook page, make sure that that is up. And you guys should be able to see behind me. Oh, well, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Probably don't want to do that. Do that one again. All right, there we go. So here's the dates that you guys really want to pay attention to. So tonight we're doing the Facebook Live, obviously. The plan right now is by January 24th is to have the floor plan up and going. And I think that we should be able to do that 25th, maybe, if we have to do some adjustments to it still. The plan is to have that kind of posted so people can kind of look at it and get an idea. And again, that floor plan, you'll have a link in your profile to look at, and I'll show you that. It'll be on the website too under vendors, so you guys can take a look at that. But now the registration will not be the same as last year, so you won't go in and pick your booths and all that. We're going to work with you guys directly on that to do the booth placements and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about the actual registration process. So you guys are going to get an email that is going to look like this when it comes through. And so I've tested this several times, and it doesn't go to spam or junk or anything like that. So it's going to be an account invitation from Map Dynamics. And it's going to say Scarefest Weekend invites you to edit. I picked my buddy Nick Brown's profile to do this on a little bit. So Nick, I hope that's okay. And then once you get that email, once you open it, it's going to look something like this. And it's going to say, click here to get started. And basically that's going to go ahead and take you into a registration. Adrian, remind me the next time I do this, I need not have so many windows open. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to log out of this just so everybody can kind of see it. And I've already set mine up. So when you get this, it'll just have like the option to set your password and everything. And then once you get into it, you're going to pick a show, and you'll have this option to select Scarefest Weekend 10/17/25 to 10/19/25. And actually, if you vended other shows that use this, you can use that profile for multiple shows if they have the same features set up. So some of you guys, I don't know if Lexington Comic-Con does it or not, but I know that they use Map Dynamics. So if they have a vendor profile in there, you won't have a lot of work to do on that. You'll be able just to set it up, and then your profile will transfer over. But I've gone in and set one up, and we're going to go through exactly what this is going to look like a little bit at a time. So on your main profile, and what people will see, this is what it translates into this. So this is the home page for folks, what they'll see throughout the year. And so this is last year's, and so Joel's profile and all this. I mean, it's a really neat system where they can go in, access, see what you're offering, where you're at on the floor, and it can be really eye-catching. It's almost like its own little marketplace. And so that being said, I think it's really cool, and it'll help you guys out. So the main profile page is this one, and so you just want to put your company name. I would definitely say put a logo on it because it does really good, and it's eye-catching and things. So I went ahead and put in a Scarefest Weekend logo here. The page does have an option for searches. So just kind of like, Google searches and things like that. You can enter in your keywords here. So for example, what I did was horror conventions, celebrities, photo ops. And so the keywords that I want people to hit on. Down at the bottom, and this is really important that everyone fills this out so we can keep track and so we don't overwhelm the vendor floor with like certain types or to make sure like how to what category to put you guys in. If you're a returning vendor, you're going to want to select the returning vendor option. And each of these categories, whatever relates mostly to you. So if you're an author, if you're a filmmaker, if you vend at the mystical market, there's an option for that here. Artists, crafts, not-for-profit, tattoo, etc. I checked retail vendor on this one and returning vendor. Now, the contact us information is public. This is what people see that they can link over to your business wherever it's set up at. So if you want attendees to see, like to be able to like access if you have an Etsy store or you have a website where you are moving, your sales, it's important to put that stuff in here because it'll be a public link that they can access throughout the year. And the website gets a tremendous amount of traffic. So again, it's just something that I think you're going to want to put a little bit of time into. So on this is what I want people to see. So this is not private. There's another section for that. So if you have a public email, public website, this is where that stuff's going to go. I'm just going to go tab by tab here. So in the booth, we also have an option where you can, and this is optional, you don't have to do it. But if you want to keep track of, like, if you're going to have multiple staff coming in and out, if you're going to have to purchase additional passes, you can list what personnel you're going to be in there or is going to be in there. And then we can help, like, check them in during the process. If they're coming in a day late, things like that, we can pull this up on our end. Again, it's not something that you have to do, but it is a good tool. And just a reminder for, so each booth space, while we're on this topic, each booth space comes with 2 passes. If you're in an end cap, that would be 4 passes, so on and so forth. But it's a 2 per booth, basically, is the best way to keep track of it. Products and services is what you guys want to put out there. And so, like, trying to think, like Jason Shepard, if he has prints and things that he wants to present that he's going to have, or, Jason, if Fantastic Horror is going to have, like, something that's really cool that you want to put out there to folks, you can put in a picture of it, you can title it, you can put in descriptions, you can even have an external link. So, like, I linked this, for example, I put Juliette Lewis here, and then I linked it over to her profile page on the website. So if people want to get information about that product or that person in this case, they'll have a link there that they can go out and look at that product specifically wherever you point them at, basically. So obviously you guys aren't going to want to go in and create all these different products. If you're, like, doing a retail, or you're a toy vendor, or you've got multiple things, like, you're not gonna be able to, it's not meant to put all that in here, obviously. So, but if you have very, like, specific things, like large items, things that, are show specific, or, I'm thinking about the gumball vendor who absolutely, like, blows my mind every year. If there's pieces that you want to really get out there and show folks and have them, looking at it throughout the year, that's kind of where you would put this stuff. Now, some of you guys do absolutely amazing jobs at, like, selling yourselves, marketing, and all that. I know a lot of you have constant video feeds and interactions and things like that. So there's also a section on here where you can add video links, and you can do multiples. And it basically just kind of goes through with, so in this case, whatever link that you're wanting to supply, you can put it in here, and then a title and a description, and then you would hit save. And I did that and just created this, which is a link to Scarefest TV. But you can link it out to just about anything. So if you guys are doing, like, routine videos, that's going to be a good way to kind of market yourself on this platform too. Think of it like a mini store. Now, photos, again, this is, I would suggest this because I've seen on other shows and vendors that do it there. Pictures of your booth, pictures of how your setup is, what folks can expect. It'll help, like, pop out so people can see, like, they know what to look for. It gets people kind of interested and going. So that's where I would put these images at. And if you want to put, like, broad pictures of, like, your product and things, I think that would be a really good idea to put in here. So yeah, I would definitely, start wrapping your head around this, and you guys can build this throughout the year. And again, it's just going to be a really good tool. Okay, that's a contact form for, like, where you want us to send you email. I've got a map link in here, so when the map does go live, you can be able to access the map directly from your profile. They don't really have like an active link in here to where you can see it, and they're still building the map on the site. So I'm going to have some links in here that you guys can kind of get onto. Now, administrative contacts, this is like just internal. This is just Scarefest. So if you have a storefront email or storefront contact, and you want your communication, like your private email or your business email, if that's different than your storefront, or your address is different, like mailing address, things like that, this is the administrative contact section. So that's where you would go in and enter the information where we know how to get a hold of you. And again, phone numbers, emails, addresses, that all comes in handy on our end. And sometimes people like put it in there and sometimes they don't, but you definitely need to add an administrative contact in there so we know what's going on. Now, one thing that's going to happen in here too, and we'll talk about invoicing. So you guys remember we've always kind of done this for our returning vendors and new vendors. We allow you guys to kind of pay as you go, and then the cutoff date, I think, for final payment is like September 1st. So the last couple of years, what we've done is kind of emailed you links or sent emails for reminders on, the balance information. We're trying to make that a little bit easier for everyone, including us. And so in this, So in this platform, you can go down to my orders, and essentially, once it loads, you'll have your invoice in here. You'll be able to see what your order total is, how much you've paid so far, and then what your remaining balance is. Now, you can't see it on this right now, but once you're tied to a booth and we've created your order, there will be a payment link down here. So you guys can go in. Some of you pay it all up front. Some of you just pay the 200 and then space it out. Again, that's up to you guys. I'm just, whatever makes it easier on you folks. So you can go in here and access that and then just do the payments through there, as you go. So I think that's all like really just kind of streamline things, make things simpler. No more not like if you're unsure about your balance or how much you've paid, like it'll all be there. You'll be able to see like, what discount codes have been applied, if that's applicable. Just gives you guys a lot more transparency in the system. So I think it's good overall. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, if you go back to the last page that we were on, you guys know that through, the map dynamic stuff, we've got sellable services. Now, I'm not talking about the Lexpo stuff. So like your electric drops and all that, that process hasn't changed. But here, once you're assigned a booth and you've gone back in, this link will always be here. And so if you decide you need to add a pass, or you want to purchase like a featured vendor option, those things are going to be here. And then we'll get a notification that you've done that, and then we'll know to put your stuff out, social media, website, all those kinds of things. It also goes in on, so like if you purchase like featured vendor options and sponsoring vendor options, so this page over here is kind of where you're going to see it. So you kind of get top billing, and then here's the featured vendor section. So it's going to put you guys at kind of the top of the list. Everyone gets, their specific marketplace on here, like their image and stuff, like over here under this this setting. But so sponsoring vendors and featured vendors go on the front page. So it's a little bit more eye-catching. Just something to look through if you guys are interested. But that's what it's going to look like. In addition to the website and social media stuff. So again, just to reiterate, this process using like the updates that we've got for this year, and will carry forward, because I love this system. I've been looking at it for like the last month. You know, when you guys return and hopefully 26, 27, 28, 29, you can continue to build on that profile. So yeah, I think it's just a really awesome service. You know, to me, it was a no-brainer to have it set up like this to kind of give you guys more tools at your discretion. Now let's see. I want to see if, and we haven't set limits on how many vendor passes that someone can purchase per booth. We'll put that out there once we get a little bit closer. We just kind of got to see, you know, what sales are going to look like, things like that. But I mean, generally, we've worked one-on-one with folks on however many vendor passes they need. So we'll know a little bit cooler, or a little bit closer to the event. Now, if anyone has any questions about this, you can put it in the comments, and I'll wrap back around to it. So I think Diana's pulling double duty on the main page and on the group page, the fan page. But yeah, now I think that's pretty straightforward. I think, again, if you guys have any problems, we're here to help you navigate through it. You know, if you've got any questions about it, you can fire off an email to vendors. We'll help you through the process. And if some of you guys just aren't computer savvy and you don't want another thing to log into and mess with, if you need help, you know, putting your products in, or, you know, links, or, you know, and you guys aren't able to get it done, or you need us to do it for you, hey, we're on board. I want you guys to be successful. I want you to have a good show. Anything that we can do on our end to help that, I'm definitely all in. So let's talk about booth pricing this year, kind of, because I've had a lot of questions about that. Let's see. There we go. Okay, I'm starting to get my swing now. All right. So here's some of the pricing information for this year. Now, just to remind you guys, I'm not raising the vendor booth prices, and all of us have worked painstakingly to try and lock you guys into a standard rate. This thing only works if everyone has a good show, is successful, and is able to pay their bills at the end of the day. So I have kept you guys in this pricing range for, you know, like the last couple of years, and I'm not changing the base prices. So artist tables last year were $350. It's the same price this year. It's a 6-foot table, but roughly about 8 foot by 5 foot worth of space. So $350 for a table. If you buy two, that's $700. But at that point, if you're going to pay $700 for 2 tables, you may as well get a booth. Now the inline, which is just the standard inline 10 by 10 pipe and drape, we're doing those at $500. The multiple booth discounts, there is a little bit of a change on that this year. The pricing matrix was off last year, and we didn't catch it until it was too late, and we just said basically just keep it going. So I didn't adjust it. But if you buy one 10 by 10 inline booth, that's going to be $500. If you price out other shows that range in our size, I think you'll see that we are very, 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 very competitive. If you do 2 booths, inline 10 by 10, so 20 by 10 space inline, that's going to be $900. If you do 3 booths, that's going to be $1,350. 4 is going to be $1,800. So basically, for each booth after that, you get $50 off each booth. So $450 times 2 is $900. $450 times 3, so on and so forth. Now, I think that is a very good price for inline 10 by 10s. The second tier of booths that we had last year, which will be the same as this year, is the wall space or the premium spots. And if you guys remember last year, the premium spots, we defined those as the ones that were facing Stars Row in the main back. So I think like Be Good was back there, a few other folks, but yeah, it's the one that's facing the slabs. And then the wall space also, just because it's more visible, um, obviously we charge a little bit more for that. So it's going to be $600 per booth, which again is the same price as last year. If you do 2 wall booths, same basic premise, you'll get them at 550 instead of 600. 3, 550 times 3 is 1650, and et cetera, et cetera. You guys in the end cap spaces, I'm going to tell you right now, you get the best deal on end cap space anywhere. You're getting 20 by 10 premium spot for 1,000, and I think that's a pretty good deal. The other thing that we've got as an option are quad booths, which basically what I've called quad booths this year, because we didn't really call them that last year, is basically like the large 20 by 20 spots. So if you guys remember, when you walked in, you would see like Jared and Inner Geek, Lexington Comic Con, they were set up in the front. It's a good size space. Game King was right next to them. Same thing, 20 by 20 space. Now, most of those quad booths are going to be up in the front this year, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute. But now that's a good spot for 2,000. Again, prices are pretty competitive, and I think it's set up to where it's going to help you guys make more money. Because obviously, if we're charging $1,000 for an inline booth, that's going to eat into your guys' cost of travel and all that stuff. So I think this frees up, you can get your booth, helps accommodate travel, helps accommodate food, all that stuff that you guys have to pay for. So yeah. Now, I do kind of want to explain, and this image we're still working on the floor plan, obviously. So you guys will have to work with me on this, but I want to explain what we're kind of looking at. All right, so this is last year's floor plan, and I hope you guys can see this, but if you were there, you know the gist. We haven't really adjusted much over the last few years with it, except maybe some fine tuning and kind of tweaking it a little bit. One thing I'm going to tell you guys, and this section back here, these smaller groups, I was back there talking to folks all weekend, and if you were in like these inline sections here, it just got confusing back there, and I don't like this setup. I don't think people perform very well back there. Plus, it got really congested with like this, well, the room that we had where Clive Barker was originally going to be before he moved to the second floor. Hold on just a second. I'm on call tonight. All right, sorry. So yeah, so Eric, you guys back there, Mark Phillips was back there. Well, I'm not going to keep that section like it is. I just don't like it. The traffic was weird. It was hard to find people. Not a fan of it. So we're going to do away with these. But now we're still building this section back here and what the celeb area is going to look like. So, gorgeous girls, all you guys back there, don't freak out if you were in this area and you like that space. We're going to work out something. But this section just cannot go the way it was. I'm like I said, I think it was a little bit of a cluster. So I apologize for that. That was my brainchild. So what is going to change this year that's going to free up some space, because we're not looking to add a lot of vendor space. I was very happy with the amount of vendors that we had, and we could have sold a lot more vendor space, but it doesn't do anybody any good to do that. So we've got it planned out this year where we've got enough to accommodate the returnings, and then also bring in some fresh meat. But one thing that's going to change this year is the section up front where we had the tattoo vendors and some of these things here is going to shift. Now, if you're a tattoo vendor, obviously one of the problems that you have with doing a tattoo kind of expo on the show floor is that the show floor closes at a certain time and you can't keep going. So every show that I've ever been to, the tattoos are not on the floor. So this area down here is going to open up where we have some more quad spaces and some end caps. So you guys that I talked to up here, and this is like people bounce back and forth through here. All right. And then we invested in signage for all these aisles right through here. And we're going to expand on that down here. But there's a lot of flow through here, especially with the seating areas and things. So we're going to have some options for some more booth space up here. I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up. As far as the general layout, like I was saying, we aren't looking to change anything. So I don't want you guys to, like, don't have the idea that if I renew my space and what if they change the entryway? I don't want to throw any audibles into that. It just makes things confusing. And this is not the final floor plan, okay? Not in any way, shape, or form. That is something that we are still working on. So nobody like grab a screen grab of this and share it. This is last year's. I'm just using it as an example. So as I was saying, let's say that you guys like Game King booth, you guys are renewing this year and the entryway is not going to change. So everything's going to stay the same with this. There'll be some changes on the out in the pre-function areas and things. And then we've also added the first floor meeting rooms, which is, I think, is going to give us a lot more space because I don't know if you guys noticed this or not. The house was pretty well packed last year to the point that we sold out on Saturday and we had to sell out on Sunday, which is a good problem to have, but we've got to make adjustments if we're all going to be successful. So the entryways will not adjust. And the addition of floor space on the first floor and second floor, I want to make sure you guys understand that, because I've had this conversation with many of you over the years. I have no intention of separating the celebrity area from the vendor area because I think ultimately it hurts you guys. And I don't like the idea of doing it. Now, we may have a celebrity every so often, like Clive Barker, we had to put on the second floor last year. But it helped a lot of those guys that were promoting on the second level. But I have no desire to shift the floor or split the floor. What we've tried to create with this floor plan and the way this is set up is that folks coming through the entryway, have to meander up here. So they have to walk through the vendor area. So we've kept these doors as exits primarily. I have no intention of changing that. And then when we have like star cars and seating areas and stuff up here, people have kind of gotten to a habit. And trust me, I walk the floor constantly. And I watch where people are walking and how the flow goes. And the last couple of years, what's happened is that people just kind of go back and forth between these sections. So that, I think that works out really good in our favor. And that's another reason why I don't want to split the floor at all. So we'll invest in some more hanging signage too for the upfront areas. I think the aisle signs worked really well. You can never have too much signage. But it was really important that this year that we start the framework for if people are going to have more access to the map and booth numbers. Obviously, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to put a lot of stock into booth numbers if the aisles weren't labeled. So, kind of learn as you go. So we really threw a lot at that last year, and it really seemed to make a difference. So I was very happy about that, and that's something that we'll keep going on with. I think that's about all that really kind of go over on the floor itself. Again, just because I know I know I need to say this. This is not the floor plan for this year. It will not be released until either later this week or potentially early next week. We're in like draft 3 or 4 of like how we want to do the celeb area back here. But again, it's gonna everything south of the border here is going to be pretty straight on with what it was last year, with the exception of what I've already mentioned. Also, want to back up real quick. Celebs will, I think, I don't know who's posting that, but the celebs are always like, they're going to be in that back section. Like there's no changing the celebs here. That's not changing. If anything, the only thing that will happen back here is the celebrity area is going to extend over here. But it's not going to move out of the back here because, again, it has to go in this way, back and forth. But now one thing to add too is that mystical vendors, you guys have your own category in there because you vend with us all year at the marketing, the mystical market every month. So I work with you guys individually to help you guys out. And we're going to build on that this year, by the way. All right, so that's kind of that in a nutshell. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Get back to my Facebook page. You guys, thank you for being patient with me. I'm getting old and like I can't keep things like my desktop. If I got too many windows off, I get confused. All right, so let's rehash some stuff. So what's going to happen before 2/1 is that you guys are going to get your email to go in and create your profile in the Map Dynamics. You guys wanting to, if you have an email change or a contact information change, you need to email that to vendors@thescarefest.com as soon as possible. So you guys set your profiles up and all that kind of stuff. On 2/1, well, we'll have the floor plan out. You guys can, if you want to retain your booth with no changes, then really 2/1 we'll roll around. We'll place you back in your section. You can go back in and pay your deposit, update your profile throughout the year. You're good to go. If you're one of the folks that looks at the floor plan, or you wanted to change last year, maybe add a booth or try a different row, or anything like that, like Glowing Vista Gifts, I know you guys are wanting to do an update, so we're keeping track of those. But you need to email and let Diana know, because we're tracking all that right now, and she's doing a really good job of taking those emails, because some of you guys have already done that, and us putting it into a spreadsheet so we can go in and make those adjustments and kind of work with you on an individual basis. So after, between 2/1 and 2/15, February 1st and February 15th, we'll be working with you guys on if you wanted to change placements or things like that. That'll be that primary window right there. Now, once everything is finalized, you guys agree on your space, you're good to go. We will place you guys, and then submit the invoicing. You guys would go in, do your deposit. The deposit for $200 would just be put in there by February 15th. And then we'll have our, like in that section, like you guys will have to go in and review policies and procedures. Those haven't changed since last year. code of conduct, stuff like that. Yeah, and Bob's your uncle. So, um, yeah, pretty straightforward. I think the registration process should be a little bit simpler this year by doing away with kind of some of the application stuff. Now, of course, new vendors, if you see this, I'm only talking to returning vendors right now. If you are a new vendor, you will have an application to fill out so we can figure out if you're going to fit in the show and if we think you'll be successful and it won't impact the current vendors. So just remember that. And that will not happen until February 15th. Till we clear out the returning vendors, make sure those guys are taken care of and placed and everything's good. We will not move on to new vendors until we finish that. Let's see, we've gone over invoicing in the system, sent profiles. We went over pricing for booths. Yeah, I think that's about it. So what I'm going to work on now, I'm going to go back through and look in the comments, but I'm going to take all this and put it into a nice little format. The video will be pinned at the top of the main page and also the Facebook group page. If you are a vendor and you're watching this on the main page, please, please, please join the Scarefest Weekend fan page. It has 30,000 people in that group, and it's where a lot of the communication happens. And so, as members of that group, we have a lot of vendors in there that post when they're excited to they've got a product or they've built something or made something that they're bringing to the show this year. And it's a good way to get feedback from attendees and kind of put ideas out and see what people are looking at. So I really urge you guys to join that group page. It's going to help you out a lot in the long run. So yeah. So and we're also going to post this on the website underneath the vendor setting of the vendor page. Basically just highlighting each date, what I've said, links to update email, dates, processes, just going right down the line. And I'm going to work on that like tonight and over tomorrow. And so April, yeah, we will have a playback. It'll be pinned at the top, both pages, and on the website. You'll be able to go back in and watch the whole thing at any time. Let me see. I didn't imagine we would have a lot of questions, but I'm going to kind of meander on here a little bit. Let's see. All right, Deb, the prices have not changed from last year. I'm going to go ahead and pull that image up real quick again. Just if we're talking about pricing, then we definitely want to make sure that no one's got any questions about that. So I'm going to share this one more time just to give everybody another look at it. I'm going to make it the full screen. All right. So I know you guys are going to get tired of me saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it. This is returning vendor prices only. New vendors will not be paying this price. This is something that I offer our long-term vendors. So again, take a look at it. I'm just going to kind of keep it up here for a second. But if you got a booth last year, it's not going to change. This is going on the website. Let's see. So Deb, you should be able to see that now. Oh, Jason, you don't want me to tell Adrian that I'm your favorite. You probably shouldn't post that. The deposits for $200 is not per booth. it's just a flat $200 deposit. So if you got 4 booths or an end cap or anything like that, regardless, it's going to be a $200 deposit. Yep. Tiffany Twisted Creations. If you liked your booth last year, my goal is to not oust anybody out of their position. Margaret, you can pay the full amount. Some people will do that, some people won't, and they'll space it out. I'm fine either way. Again, not a lot of shows offer that for folks, and I'm happy to do that. But yes, you can pay the full amount. I do. Okay, yeah, Diana. All right, I'm gonna let Diana kind of look at that. I don't see anything else. Last thing I want to tell you guys is just look, I want to make sure you guys understand that like I'm committed to making sure that you guys have a successful show. Um, the first couple years that I was doing this, I really was so naive to the idea that um, I thought a lot of people did this stuff on the weekends as vendors, and I really learned from talking to everyone like how important this is to people to pay their bills, to be successful. And I don't take that lightly. So my job is to make sure that you guys have a good weekend. I want everyone coming out of there being able to pay off their bills, whatever they can. I want everyone to run out of product. Um, I cannot stress that enough. I take it as my personal responsibility to make sure you guys are successful. And if we get something wrong or something doesn't work out right, we'll work to correct it. But I cannot tell you guys um, how important it is that you guys have a good show. Um, I have, I know, I know a lot of vendors talk about how like booth pricing and things like that, like the show uses that to pay for like celebrity travel and that stuff, and that may very well be the case. Um, Here, it helps to cover the cost of the venue, and that's it. And it doesn't even cover the full cost of that. And I feel like we're all kind of invested in that. Um, so again, I will do my best to keep you guys locked in at these prices. I think it helps helps you guys be successful. Um, and I really can't say it enough that vendors absolutely make or break a show. Um, and you guys help me, I'll help you. Like it just we all work together on this one. Everyone's got to move in the same direction. And at the end of the day, everyone has to have a successful weekend. And I can tell you right now, if you're a returning vendor and you're listening to this, if I didn't get to your booth last year, I'm sorry. I tried to get to as many of you guys as possible to check on you and make sure that everything was okay. Because as a promoter, I don't see that a lot at other shows. Um, Obviously, I'm not able to make it around to everyone, but a lot of you guys I did. And over the years, I've really enjoyed getting to talk to you, and it's helped me kind of plan things better. So I really can't appreciate. I can't say how much I appreciate you guys. Um, you guys absolutely knock it out of the park every year, and I could not be happier with returning vendors. I mean, you guys just do an amazing job, and a lot of you have been doing this way before my tenure here. So I really appreciate it. Oh, yeah. My goal is that everybody runs out of stuff. Sell it all. Um, all right. I think that's it. Again, I will see you guys out there. I love running into my vendors at other shows. Um, yeah. Here's to what we hope is a very successful 2025. And you guys definitely help us get there. So you guys have a good night. I appreciate it. I'm going to work on getting this stuff posted and not drag on, as I often do. Thank you guys very much.